Web games. In the early 2010s, there were so many times where I would just be bored. Whether it was during the school day or some random time during the summer, I needed something to do to pass the time. So we were all hopping on these web games. I didn't have a good computer at home to run games, and neither did my school. Seeing all the colors of these many different flash game sites made it an addiction for younger me. Of course, if everybody's using the school computers to play these games, the teachers are gonna block them eventually. But there was one site that for some reason nobody batted an eye at. Cool Math Games. Cool Math is a legendary pull for 2000s kids. There were so many options for games to play on there. However, if I sat here and talked about every single one, this video would be like 2 hours long. So a Cool Math Game staple that I absolutely have to talk about, the Run series. Out of all the games in this video, I definitely spent the most time playing these. I was sweating so hard, I remember trying to 100% all these. But this shit had my entire school in a chokehold. The premise was you were this little alien dude, and you had to run past a bunch of obstacles until you were at the end of the path. Each level was a checkpoint on the path, and games such as Run 3 had a bunch of other different paths that you could do that were way more difficult. Like seriously, those ones took me hours to beat. There were also other alien characters that you could play as with different abilities, such as the lizard who can jump higher and the skater who could run faster. But the lore of this game is crazy, because their objective was to find their home planet since it went missing, and they wanted to look all throughout space to try and find it. The Duck Life games. They had so many of these games. I think they're on the 9th one now. The story, the gameplay, everything about it is just peak. You are a farm owner. A tornado destroyed your farm, and you hatched a duck from your egg. And your goal is to win money so you can repair the farm. And slow down, bro. You can't just jump into these races. You gotta practice. You have to practice until all the stats are upgraded enough to the point where you can win the races. The stats include running, flying, swimming, and to practice you can play a bunch of different mini games. The second game introduces new locations. Now you're in Japan, Hawaii, Egypt. You're all over the map. And the third game had these mutant ducks. And in the fourth game, they got rid of the mutant ducks. They banned them. And there were 6 different worlds you had to travel through. These were the only 4 games that I played. I didn't play the rest of them. But in my experience, overall, I gotta say, the Duck Life series is peak. But speaking of a lot of games, the Papa's games. The amount of times I would just troll and rage bait the customers was crazy. Sometimes I didn't even want to try to save up the money for the pizzeria, the freezeria, whatever it was. I was dead ass just trying to crash the game with pizzas I was making. If you never played a Papa's game, you definitely missed out. But basically what these games were, you worked for my boy Papa Louie, and you were the cashier at a pizza shop or whatever game it was that you were playing. And you were trying to make some cheese from this cashier job. So you just took customers' orders, and most of the time the customers were very nice. They would tip good, you get 5-star reviews. It was all good. It was all good until you ran into those goddamn customers that were so critical for no reason. They always looked so angry. It pissed me off so much. They were always on my ass about the food. Like I could have gave them a perfect order. 0 mistakes. Everything was placed perfectly. Everything was cooked to a pristine temperature, and they would have said, nah, 2 stars. Like they just would have called my shit mid. Like seriously? And on top of that, sometimes they would leave no tip at all. That is just criminal levels of disrespect. You just got a Michelin 5-star meal by me, and you disrespected me like that? That's crazy. Okay, all jokes aside though, the Papa's games were fire. And so was the world's hardest game. I can't even lie, I was raging at this one. When you first look at the game, you might say to yourself, how could anybody rage at this? Okay, do not sell. Do not sell. Do not sell. Do not. It looks really easy. But I replayed this recently, and I only got to the 7th level. I guess the title doesn't lie. It really is a hard game. And every time I would play this throughout childhood, I just gave up. I thought there was no way I could even get far at all. And if you don't know what this game is, you are a square, and you're trying to dodge circles to collect all the coins. Some of you might be saying to yourself right now, like, Jesus, this looks easy. How the hell did you not beat this? But I promise you, it is a lot harder than it looks. Because as you progress through the levels, the circles keep getting harder to dodge. Fireboy and Watergirl. Fireboy and Watergirl is a puzzle game where 1 or 2 players can control the characters to go through this temple while collecting gems. I had to mention this game because it was a really good game to play while waiting for class to be over or just to pass time in general. It was really easy to get invested in a level and forget you have a 3-hour lecture to sit through. I think there's a few of these games, but I have only played one of them before. But I should have played the other ones though. These games are really good. Learn to fly. Basically, you are a penguin and you want to learn how to fly. He looked up an article about the emperor penguin on Kiwipedia. Then he saw something that just made him start crashing the out. He saw that emperor penguins were flightless, so he had something to prove. He had to be the first penguin to ever take flight like Jordan. So as you keep playing the game, you just get more money to eventually acquire more upgrades. Each time you attempt to fly, a day goes by. But as you slowly but surely save up enough money to get upgrades, you unlock stages with higher ramps. But you really do go from rags to riches in this game, because you start with this piece of shit glider with holes in it. You know, it's something, but you don't really get that far with it. Then you get rockets and all kinds of other shit. But now this one, you have definitely all been waiting for. This game is timeless and it will be around for years to come. Kahoot. When your teacher pulled up a Kahoot, you knew it was going to be a heat class. The greatest thing about Kahoot is that you could make a Kahoot about anything. Sometimes I would run up Kahoots about things like sports with my friends during my free time. It was just a go-to game. It was fun, it was competitive, and also educational at the same time. And although everybody was happy about it, there was always somebody that would ruin it. There was somebody that would hop onto the game and name themselves the most unserious shit like Barry McCockiner or Gabe Itch. Then the teacher would always say, okay, this is your final warning. Enter your real names or we're not gonna play it anymore. And they still did it. Like, okay, maybe it was funny for the first time, but after seeing those names so many times for years on end, it just got annoying. And I sometimes have professors that still run Kahoots, bro. It's really a great way to pass the time, because there's some lectures I'm just tapped out. I don't even want to sit through them. But what if the internet goes out? You would think, oh shit, there's nothing to do. Yes, there is. Pull up the Dinosaur game. This game was just really clutch when the internet was out and you had nothing to do. To play it, all you had to do was search up something on Google while you're offline and it would be there. Discovering that all you have to do is press the space bar to activate the game, I was just blown away by it. I really thought I was a modern day philosopher discovering that for the first time. If you never played this, the objective is just to run as far as you can and jump over the cacti, and it progressively gets faster as you keep going. The Chrome Dinosaur game can get intense at times when you're trying to get a high score. Club Penguin. During my childhood, unfortunately, I missed out on Club Penguin, which is crazy. I remember seeing ads for Club Penguin on the TV. I said to myself, I have to play this game. I went on the computer and tried to sign up, and I realized that you needed a parent's email. And in my head, I'm like, okay, my parents are definitely not letting me sign up. So I never did until I was actually using my own email. And when I first opened up Club Penguin, I realized I really missed out, bro. There were so many good games. Some in particular that I played a lot. Sled racing, kart surfing, and car jitsu. No matter how many times I would play these games over and over again, I would just continue to play them. They were just that fun. And not only that, you were able to customize your penguin, of course. So I had to make sure that my penguin was fitted up. The Impossible Quiz. This was one of the weirdest Flash games I've ever played. You really had to think outside of the box to finish the quiz, or you could just look up the answers. And the reason why they said it was impossible, because these quizzes had the weirdest answers you could think of. There's no way you could really guess it on a whim. When attempting a quiz, you had 3 lives. Each time you would run out of lives, you would have to replay the entire thing, which pissed me off, but eventually the answers would become first nature. IO games. IO games really took over in the mid-2010s. I used to look around in my classes and I would see that everybody was playing an IO game. And every month or so, there was a new one that everyone was playing. And on my soul, we all played Agario. The concept was so simple. All you had to do was eat circles until you became the biggest circle. You could really get tactical with it. You could split your circle if you wanted to. And whenever I would first join the games, it genuinely felt impossible to actually climb up the ranks. Then there was Scribble.io. When you had a full lobby for Scribble, it was just so tough. The objective was to make the best drawing to score the most points by taking turns drawing a word for people to guess it. And if you're the one guessing, you try to guess the word as quick as possible before everybody else. else. When you get your boys on Scribble, you do not even know the type of shit that will be drawn. Like, it was just so funny seeing people draw some bullshit. Another big one was Slither.io. This one was the best to pass time while I was on a long drive in the car, since they had an app for the game as well. I was never really good at the game, to be honest with you. Some people were just sweaty as for no reason, but the objective of Slither.io was similar to Agar.io. You eat pebbles to grow your... Okay, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. You slither around and knock out other snakes until you have the most points in the lobby. This one was low-key niche, but at one point, all my friends were talking about it. It was called Deep.io with 4 E's. I don't know who found this site and was the messenger for my entire school, but this game was fire though. You started as the lowest animal on the food chain, and you would eat pebbles and other animals to work your way up the food chain. And there weren't even that many people in the lobby, so we would also run into each other sometimes. It was funny to hear one of my friends rage from the other side of the room. Crunker.io is at least top 5 IO games ever. Crunker is basically like COD, but with Minecraft type of graphics. And this one was really fun with friends. If you had a full lobby, the experience was like none other. But also, I would play it solo sometimes, just play against randoms. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Crunker definitely had me raging though. I used to be nice at the game, but as you can see from my footage, I'm washed now. Unk's gotta pack it up. Happy Wheels. Where do I even begin with this game? How I got put onto Happy Wheels is I was watching Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, and Markiplier play it all the time. And Happy Wheels is a platformer game where you use various characters and vehicles to try to dodge obstacles and just hope for the best. The game physics were insane, so anything was possible, which made for some hilarious moments to say the least. There was also lots of blood. So whenever I would play Happy Wheels, I would get in trouble with my parents. My parents would just say the game was too violent for me to play, but sometimes I would just sneak play it at my grandmother's house because there's no way I'm missing out on Happy Wheels, bro. That's crazy. We gotta talk about Scratch. Scratch was a website where you can make games or anything with characters, and it was coding made easy without all the zeros and ones and bullshit like that. The amount of time I spent on this website was crazy. Originally, we were just supposed to use this for school, but I would always go on it outside of school. I know, bro. I get it. I was a f***ing nerd, bro. You don't have to tell me. I had an entire arc where I would just code on Scratch. I was really cooking up the dumbest video games in the 5th grade. I would sit down on my janky-ass laptop at home, and I made really bad games of characters like Kirby, Mario, Sonic. If I was able to log into my account, I would show you guys some of these games, but unfortunately, I don't remember my password. Scratch has gotta be ball knowledge, though. Bloons Tower Defense. If you don't know what this game is, bro, you gotta learn today. Bloons is fire. You can't miss out. Now, in Bloons TD, your goal is to stop the balloons from escaping. So you'd have to place towers or monkeys to pop the balloons. So you start out with the dark monkey, which is pretty self-explanatory. It just throws darts. And then you unlock more and more monkeys. And eventually you'll get the super monkey. Bro, the super monkey was insane. Playing Bloons and listening to Lil Uzi was an unbeatable combo for me. It was just a perfect thing to do while on a car ride. And now I'm the one driving. Watch this video about types of drivers. Just click on it.